Hello, this is Shona and welcome to this week's episode of my devlog. So this week it's time for another update on progress with the game. The last 2 weeks have actually been fairly productive, largely because I've been putting in place a system that I'm pretty much just calling Get Things Done. If I find myself coming up with a new idea or an interesting way to implement something, but I'm having trouble with it, I give myself a day to work on it, and if that doesn't work, then I go for let's do a simplified version for now, just to make it work, and move on, and just make a note for myself that later on I need to come back and fix this. So let's have a look at what we've got. So the first thing is we've now got saving and loading. So as an example, here's one I prepared earlier. Now it's kind of slow at the moment because some of the things that I'm doing for room generation, which we'll get to in a little bit, are not yet very well optimized. So here we have an example of the pathfinding, which, as you can see, takes into account the walls. The doors make the little character have to stop for a moment until the door opens. Please, as always, excuse my terrible excuse for graphics. And yeah, you'll also notice that down in the bottom left corner we're now seeing some basic information, and one of the things we're seeing is that we can now tell the game that something that's entirely enclosed by walls and or doors is in fact a room separate from everything else. This will be important later for things like potentially room bonuses for different types of furniture being in it, or when we get to thinking about heating and cooling. All of those sort of things, we're saying this space is separate from that space become important. At the moment, the unfortunate thing is that the algorithm that works out whether or not something is in one room or the other has no way of stopping until it gets to the edge of the map. I haven't been able to figure out a sensible way of doing that because I don't want to just artificially put a limit on how big a room can be. But the downside to that is that when it first tries to figure out a whole bunch of furniture at once, like when it's a whole bunch of walls at once, like when it's loading a game, it has to do that computation for the whole map over and over again. And that's just not efficient. And if anybody has any ideas about how I could possibly restructure that so that it doesn't have to happen quite so ridiculously, please feel free to let me know. So yeah, they're the main things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. I had hoped that by this episode I would also have a start on an item system where, for example, rather than just walking over and building a wall directly, the character would have to go and pick up, some stone blocks or whatever and go and build the wall out of them. But that was clearly not going to be done in time, and I'm already a day later than I wanted to be posting this, so that will have to wait for the next update. In the meantime, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me get the word out there, and also it's just nice to know that people are appreciating what I do. So until next week, thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye.